I'm obviously not in Africa. I'm obviously not African.
That's 1 week. The next chance, you don't have a right to say no. That's the last chance, give Kingsley. If we can't do that, we'll ask another person to replace him.
But what I hate to see is Chinese, Arab, any others going over there to Africa and treating my fucking brothers and sisters like crap. I'm not cool with that at all, okay? Right now, China is literally buying up Africa, okay? And these people are going over there treating Africans like absolute dog shit, okay? I mean, they talk to them like crap, treat them like absolute crap. And what boggles my mind is the Africans who get in my comments and try to protect these people, all because they are bringing upward mobility to Africa by the way of a fucking job, okay? Even though that Chinaman is paying these people absolute crumbs, talking to them like they're fucking nothing, treating them like slaves. We've all seen the videos, right? We've all seen them. Men, women. I've seen videos of Chinese men punching African women. What the fuck are you Africans gonna do about that? Y'all niggas are so hungry that you won't even protect yourselves or your women, bruh. A Chinaman coming over to your country and you just bowing down to him because you so in need. Bruh, that shit hurt my soul as a Black American, I promise you. Because we would never fucking do that. Never. We would fight before we would bow the knee to a foreigner coming over here doing us like that. And when they do. They come over here and they try it. And then they get that understanding real quick. The whole world knows what Black Americans do. So I don't need to sit here and, oh, yeah, we do this, we not. Y'all know. I want the Africans to start to stand up, man. Stand up on your own land. You there, bruh. Take control of that shit. Don't ever let a foreigner come over there and disrespect you.
Hello my brothers and sisters, hope you are fine wherever you are watching from. Now, are these Asians the same? Do they have the same behavior? Why are they disrespectful, or is this their nature? So let's watch this compilation until the end and I'll be back with a little conversation. Remember, all credit goes to the original creators of these videos.
Fuck!
Hello? Yeah.
No. Go. Be gentle. Go. Okay. 好，马上过去。OK 啦，我这刚不出轨，不打回。啊，赖他。师傅，好了，是的。练的那个电话那个大的我没拉。OK 了，大的，来，大的。啥子这个？啥不行了？对呀，怎么回事？Let's go. It's okay. We have to hold on for the place to be long before we go. Yeah. Doc, watch out. Yeah. Please. Doc, we have to stay here, lock them.
In the Nigerian city of Abuja, there is a Chinese market which is in some deep hot water right now. The Chinese owner of this market does not allow black people to enter. Only Chinese people are allowed to shop from here according to the owner's rules. Which begs the question, why the fuck would you open a store in Nigeria if you don't want black people coming in? The only reason I can think of is this market was a big money laundering operation. There aren't many Chinese people in in Nigeria anyway. They alone can't keep this store in business. And it turns out they won't be able to even if they tried, because the Nigerian government heard about this store. And as of this morning, the government shut the store down and closed its doors permanently. So you can be Chinese, black, orange, or anti-color. You can't shop from here. According to the news, the owner has fled the country, which makes sense because he's the most infamous person in Nigeria right now. There is a price to pay for being a racist dickhead. I'm just hoping that the locals were able to throw a few punches at the owner before he escaped.
China is overpopulated, so it's always looking for opportunities to dump some of its excess population.
Right.
And you know what's so sad? Chinese will come to South Africa poor, with nothing. And in 3 years, they're owning 2 and 3 major businesses. Because what happens is when the Chinese come, they employ their own. But this is exactly what the heads of state tell black people. Let the Chinese come to Jamaica. Let them come to South Africa. They're going to give you guys jobs. The jobs never come.
There are 2 types of Chinese that came to Africa. The first are those that came to Africa to do legitimate business, from trading to manufacturing to mining. Despite the fact that they tend to use Chinese materials and employ Chinese workers, they have also contributed to the tax revenue and transfer of technical know-how to the African countries. Chinese company does not behave like Americans one, which have strict IP regulations in countries they have invested in. And most importantly, Chinese business in Africa have objectively allowed many other African business to thrive as well. Secondly, those people that came illegally to Africa, they are indeed a problem which China should crack down on more, because they came to Africa to establish illicit or underground economies such as crypto scams and poaching. But despite that, this kind of Chinese that came to Africa, they never try to influence the local government or try to create a criminal gang that disrupt the local community. And even if they earn lots of money, they will eventually return to China or migrate overseas. The real challenge for Africa today is the failure to take more advantage from the Chinese business. Chinese companies are a perfect place which technical know-hows can be further transmitted across the African economies. Chinese community in Africa also has greater purchasing power which African business can benefit. And lastly, despite all the problems of Chinese in Africa, the only reason why the Western countries are suddenly interested in investing and taking African countries with more respect is because of China.
Last year, maybe we only 50 people, but now quite a lot. Why? Yeah, we try. Create jobs. We need to create jobs.
Cheap labor. Yes. Cheap labor. 48. Yes.
If you want using cheap labor,
It's cheap labor.
okay, you can leave.
That means the money is not going to go up.
Yeah.
That's what he says.
The one thing about African disunity is that when we feel like, oh, we don't agree to certain groups of Africans, we become hateful, we don't use our logic anymore, we don't think anymore. Because South Africa are going through this turmoil of Julula, and many people think that, oh, any judgment that comes to them is right. We want to support any oppressor coming at them. Funny enough, the same thing would reflect back to you. Every country has a minimum wages. And if the job that you are working should be higher than that minimum wages, but it's below, then that is slave trade. And I've talked about this before about slave trade and the contract you sign yourself into. People should read, educate yourself, so you don't sign a contract that keep you in a job forever and you can be sued for it. So in this video, I went to the comments. There was a lot of negative comments about, oh, South Africans deserve this and all of this bullshit. But the one comment that struck me the most is one comment that said that, oh, Africans cannot be used for job, cannot be hired for job that need logic or sense. They are only hired for simple job. So disturbing. And it comes to make me think about myself. If we are fighting against each other, hating each other, instead of we fighting against South Africa for this, why don't we educate them? Why don't you speak positively rather than throwing hatred? In that way, we all can grow together. Or see what someone else say about African, a whole continent, saying that we are all dull and stupid. That actually struck me. And I'm seeing a lot of comments about other Africans saying, oh, South Africans deserve this. Funny enough, the people recording this video, they are not South Africans. If you could hear from their accent, they look more Zimbabwe. But this is what I'm talking about, slave trade. I believe I've talked about this before, about the contract you sign. If you don't understand it, go and give it to a lawyer, and they will read your contract out for you. And we have to take pride of ourselves and stand for people who are there to oppress us. Whether they have foreign investors, they can't make us work like a slave in your own country, in our own continent, because you can't go overseas and work like a slave and come back home and work like a slave. It's not possible. If the minimum wage, if it's below the minimum wages in the country, then I believe they have to report to the right force so they could look at the labor force, they could look about that company and see what that company is doing to the workers. And this is also why some South Africans are fighting for these illegal immigrants. Because most illegal immigrants, because they don't have option, they will take those options to work for bare minimum. Because at the end of the day, they are illegal. So the company will take advantage of them. And with that, it will cause rises of unemployment in the country because, well, if I'm illegal, I don't have papers, well, I need anything to survive. So let us speak the truth and speak facts and not deceiving ourselves. If you're in a country, get your paper right. Africa is Africa. Just like you having your brothers and sisters. They are your brothers, but their home is their home. And when you go to their home, you should respect and follow their protocols. So if we're in South Africa, if we're in Zimbabwe, we should respect and follow the protocols of each country. Every country has its own protocols. We respect and abide to those laws. So we all can be productive. And then we start speaking to our own leaders so that our country can be very beneficiary, so that it will be all equally good and prosperous. Let's stay educated. Keep safe out there. Peace.
My heart bleeds for South Africa. A meeting was held between organizers of those protests in South Africa against other Africans with people who or with business people, mainly Chinese, Indians, Pakistani, and the like, who own businesses. And the meeting was held with these people. Most of them, or almost all of them, they're foreigners basically. They were Chinese, they were Pakistan, they were Indians, but they happen to own businesses in South Africa. And the meeting, basically, the organizers of the meeting proposed that those companies discharge all Africans or non-South African nationals, that they should be discharged from employment so that they can hire Africans. So basically they have a problem with black Africans running businesses in South Africa. They have a problem with black Africans working in South Africa, but they have no problem whatsoever with Indians, with the Chinese, with white people. Their only problem is that other Africans should not hold businesses in South Africa. You make what you want out of this, but this is a classic sign of Stockholm Syndrome. Everybody that has exploited the blacks of Africa are permitted to benefit from South Africa, other than the people who campaigned and fought bitterly for the freedom of people of South Africa. There is a deeper psychology that's going on with whatever is happening in South Africa right now.
This, keep telling y'all. I gotta laugh. Because y'all don't see. And before y'all say anything about...
Chinese people are so entertained by anti-black racism that they were paying for videos of children in Malawi to say derogatory comments about themselves and their race. And it went so far that this man was arrested for basically trafficking and exploitation. When I said stop taking pictures with random Chinese people who come up to you for pictures abroad, this is one of the reasons why. They know exactly what black people look like. They don't think too kindly of us. China is literally colonizing Africa to this day. In Congo, the majority of the mines that child slaves are working on are owned by Chinese mining companies. In Sierra Leone, Chinese mining companies are polluting the water. There's a number of reasons why they're getting away with using the same old playbook. Number one, proxy wars. This is where countries that are rich, like the UAE, UK, America, will fund armed groups in certain countries to cause civil instability. These groups will get a big paycheck, essentially, to go wreak havoc. And then, while everyone is literally distracted with fighting for their lives and trying to stay alive, the countries abroad can come in and take the natural resources for free. B, assassination of good leaders. Every time there's a good leader, they literally disappear in mysterious circumstances, and then we get a corrupt person who's propped up by the West in charge of a country with loads of natural resources. And C, a lack of education. The vast majority of people across Africa are not taught about colonization. Like, we sit here and talk about it like, oh, we know, so they must know. No, it is deliberately not taught so that they can keep the chain going.
大家好，这是我的非洲客户，他白手起家。这是我的非洲客户。 这是我的非洲客户，他白手起家，眼睛，他在丽江订购了50台机械手。
丽江智能 ，good。
I feel that once Chinese people stay in Africa for a long time, they actually don't want to go back. I've been here for 10 years now. Yeah, why don't we want to return first? The climate here is really nice. The average temperature is around 25 degrees all year round, so we don't even need air conditioning. Second, there isn't much cutthroat competition here, and the pace of life is slower. We start work at 9 a.m. and finish at 5 p.m. Employees work those hours, so do we. There is none of that complicated social etiquette back home, and no need for endless business dinners and drinking parties. I think it's pretty great. Chinese people actually live more comfortably here than in China. What's more, we don't have to do housework. I have 2 maids, one cooks and the other cleans the house.
A Chinese lady living like an emperor in Kenya. Yeah, the Africans tell me, like, be specific when you mention Africa. So Kenya. And it's crazy to me that you have a Chinese lady coming over there, living like an emperor. They're basically her handsmaids, right? They cook, they clean for her, and they work for her. And as y'all notice in the video, she don't have them in any type of leader positions, right? They're not managers, they're not supervisors, they're not leads, they're all workers. And that's good for her. She don't have no competition. I'm pretty sure in China, there's a lot of competition when it comes to business, right? And I only bring this up is because when you see people like Khalees is my milkshake, bring all the boys to the yard, Nas ex, I guess, girl. She owned acres of land out there in Kenya, and she produces food, but she feeds the village. Like, she helps out with the village people in Kenya, and she have, she worked with the Kenyans, like more like a respectful, it's not like a position of power, but it's like we're in this together, like more so community oriented, where you have this Chinese lady, you could just tell it's just, hey, I'm up here and y'all are just catering to me. But the Kenyans will go ahead and drag Khalees, telling, saying, why does she own all this acreage in Kenya, and be totally disrespectful. Matter of fact, not to Khalees only, but to any Black Americans that own anything in Africa, not just Kenya, Africa, period, because they look at it as jealousy. How is it that you're melanated just like me and you're a foreigner and you come over here and do better than me, right? You always see the Africans criticizing Black Americans as being colonizers, but they never have this type of smoke when it comes to the Chinese people or, the white tea people, most definitely. But yeah, it's crazy.
Hello. They're all lying.
Hello.
What the hell is this?
Hello.
What are they lying about?
This.
What?
What are they lying about?
The owner is right here in this country. They're still running business here.
Right.
They're all employees. The boss is right here in this country.
Have you told the police about the real owner?
The real owner is right here in this country. You know that?
Who is he?
I tell you, that big boss, he has a gang-related background in this Chinese community in this country. Where is he now? He's leading this country in this town.
Wait a minute.
In Burma.
Wait a minute.
I tell you. This is my Africa client who priced off.
这是我的非洲，这是我的非洲客户。
电箱的玉米淀粉餐盒，合作愉快。
Viking Tobacco 一下子订了200吨的改性料，合作愉快。
还有利诺童装 ，good good good。大家好，这是我非洲来的客户，他叫 Mary， 他在天空智龙滚油机。Hello， 大家好，我是金卓的小仙。外国朋友 Mary 来我家做客。
或者补足给你啊，然后你们是哪位？我过来是原委会啊，是的啊。
对我先看房子，
没得看头哈，哪个都不敢租给你哈。
好，好没关系，但是我看我是不能看吗？我看可以看是不是？对吧？
不行。
对，你说不能，我不能住这里，但是我能不能看？
哪儿也不能去。
但是我能不能看嘛？
不能拍，不能拍。
我不是拍我拍你吗？我没有拍你，我记录我自己，不行吗？
连我们照片都不能拍，连我们的
出去
房子都不能去。
哦，不要碰我嘛！不要碰我！不要碰我！
不要拍你，但是请出去哈。
哦，
请出去。
我不是来拍你，我来拍你没有？
我们这儿的房子不允许拍哈，走。
So that's an African in China trying to rent a unit, and the Chinese are telling them, hell no. Better yet, you can't even walk through this complex. And you see, I think that was a security guard telling him to go, and they was calling him all kinds of names. And what's wild to me is you never see the African Union, none of these African leaders calling out China for how they treat the Africans, but Chinese, they setting up factories, they setting up businesses. I'm talking about large businesses, mom and pop shops all throughout Africa. And Africans never do anything to the Chinese but work for them and get paid under wages, right? And they sell them some of the most crappiest products ever. They kind of use Africa as a dumping ground, but none of these African unions, the AU, never call out China, nor do they call them out for how they treat the Africans in China, right? Mind you, these Africans have a whole country behind them. They come in, a country that's supposed to represent them. So yeah, it's wild. Like Chinese could do whatever they want in Africa.
The water you give Ghanaians where you go drink.
Moi, c'est sûr que je ne suis pas un homme. Il y en a un way, no. It's come to me.
Bawini, you pour water. You're supposed to be. You want drink good water? Give me.
China and Africa is a really interesting concept because when you look at Nigeria and you look at Ghana, you see, okay, there are Chinese communities flourishing there. At the end of the day, though, China is giving these people kind of like a blank check, which is really beneficial because at the end of the day, they're able to do whatever they want with it. And we know Nigeria has a big corruption problem. Ghana is doing amazing. But when we talk about like the communities developing in there, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that as long as there's some form of social cohesion. My bigger issue is if you're building infrastructure that can't be maintained by the locals, you're not really doing fair business practices and you're forcing people to really develop. And by develop, I mean you're forcing people to rely on you for development. Like, people will not be able to maintain the infrastructure if they don't have the tools necessary. And if you build stuff that can't be maintained, you're not really giving them the freedom of the infrastructure. You're more forcing them to be dependent on you. And this is something we saw like across the African continent. So at the end of the day, I think that it is a little bit of a nuanced conversation because on one hand, we can talk about, okay, giving people a blank checkbook is a bad idea, but also the IMF regulations are a bad idea. But on the flip side, if we're giving people free money and we know corruption is an issue, how much of that is going to the people? And then the people are responsible for paying it back. And on top of that, again, what is the level of social intermixing? Like, are the Chinese in Ghana intermixing with the Africans? Is it equitable treatment? Like, there's so many questions that have to be answered. And I can't say that I know all the answers. I can only speak to what I've seen, which was there is a significant investment. And that's kind of it that I noticed in Ghana.
Hello and welcome back. So this thing of Asians disrespecting people is not in America alone. These people have these habits in their blood. Everywhere I find these people, they have this habit of mistreating and disrespecting people from other communities. It's not just highlighted, but these people have that behavior of disrespecting any person from another community. They see themselves as gods on this earth. Asians come from their most populated countries or continent. They go all over the world to find spaces for them and their children to live on. But the way they treat the indigenous people that they find there will leave you in shock of whether these are humans or animals. They are all over America doing businesses. You get them making dollars from people in that society. The only thing that is important to these Asians is the money that these other people give them. When they shop or visit their businesses, nothing else. They see other people as objects. They don't have that human heart. Now, it's not in the US alone where these Asians show disrespect to other communities and going as far as killing the original people from that country. Now the worst is in Africa, where these Asians have come in and have become a disaster to these countries. These people have come to these countries where they get a lot of space. They have big businesses, open big companies. They have employed Africans in their businesses and companies. The worst thing is that they have employed Africans, but they take that advantage of poverty in those countries and corrupt leadership in those governments. So they bribe themselves into these countries and employ but underpay these people. Asian-owned companies are known to pay people peanuts. They know the rate of poverty in these countries, so they take that advantage to underpay these locals. Despite this, they go on and mistreat these locals. You can get an Asian going ahead and beating these men and women who work for them. These are fathers and mothers, but you get the Asians beating these people. If it's no disrespect, how can you call that? They have gone ahead and bribed those workers' unions that could be defending these workers are bribed. So if anything happened to these employees, nothing will be done for them because the unions are always on these Asian pay slips. These matters go away without even being talked about because these workers are on their own. These people go ahead and make billions while paying peanut to these people. If this is not disrespect, what can we call it? So my advice to these Africans is Black Americans have taught us the way to deal with these people. They have done a thing that have seen these Asians have respect to other communities. The way they are now in the US, that's how we should be in Africa. So my brothers and sisters, come from Africa. Let's come together and stand for each other. Let's avoid these people. Let's avoid their businesses. Let's not work for them. We should stand with people that respect us. We should go to shops that see us as human beings. Let's not be taken for granted. Let's boycott these people's businesses and see if they can live without our support or services. Let's boycott them until they respect us and see our importance in their lives. These are our countries, not prisons for these people to do this to our brothers and sisters. Let's stand for what is ours.